Hey there, Rooster Teeth fans! Welcome back to another episode of Rooster Teeth Reviews as we dive into a very special episode of the Nomad of Nowhere After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. Tonight, we are talking with special guest Elizabeth Maxwell. It's going to be a fun time. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Ominous. I like it. It's light.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Searching for something. Where could it be? Oh, there it is. Hey, everybody. Hey there, Rooster Teeth fans. Welcome back to the Nomad of Nowhere After Show here on Rooster Teeth Reviews on AfterBuzz TV. Let's not waste any time. I'm Megan Salinas, and to my left is Mark Donica.
That's me. I'm Harpy Donica, and to my left.
Stacey Shuttleworth.
Hey, guys.
And joining us in the studio tonight is a very, very special guest presenting returning guest star champion Elizabeth Maxwell.
Howdy, y'all.
She said it.
Now, you Nomad fans may recognize her as the voice of Scout. Aw, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I'm so happy to be here. Always happy to be here.
Well, it's always such a pleasure having
What a treat.
you.
Such a treat. Goodness. and you've been so busy over it's been about a year because we had you for Camp last time you were in town.
Yes.
So you've been mighty busy, powerful busy.
I have been powerful busy.
We're in the Western mode. I'm going to be doing some Western colloquialism, so why not?
It is hard talking about this show not to go into like a little bit of a southern drawl every now and then.
It would be really
Now
tough
you
and
know
grumble.
how I feel.
So yeah, let's go ahead and dig right into it. For those of you guys watching at home, we are going to be keeping an eye on the hashtag #RTRNomad if you guys have any questions for our lovely guests. But they don't necessarily even have to be Nomad questions. As we've discussed, Elizabeth has touched on many different aspects of Rooster Teeth's production side, and also a lot of, if you've watched any other sort of after shows here on AfterBuzz, you know that she is multifaceted in a number of different avenues as well, including video games and anime, all sorts of other stuff. So guys, feel free to go ahead and send whatever questions you would like. Yeah, so let's go ahead and dig into it. Elizabeth, how is it that they pitched? You are definitely digging into it. How did they approach you about Nomad?
Jordan, the director of Camp, was like, hey, you want to come in and audition for my new show? And I was like, I mean, I guess if you're directing it. No, I mean, I'm trying to remember. I feel like they just pitched it as like a fantasy Western. And I was like, dude, I'm in. Sign me up. I've never gotten to use my Western accent before. And I was like, I'm so ready for this.
What character?
My body is ready.
When you first saw the script, was it sides or did they give you like a pilot? Which do they give you for the audition?
So usually they give us sides
Okay.
first. We're not always fortunate enough to get to read the pilot, but and I think initially they only had like the main characters audition, so it was Toth and Scout. And I remember looking at them and being like, well, I'm probably gonna be cast as Toth, but I really want Scout. Because that was kind of the wild card. Because I'm usually, known for kind of like my deeper voice, like badass female characters, Amir, Urbosa, Winter, etc. But Jordan was actually one of the first people who cast me against type as Nikki in Camp. So I was like, so you're saying I have a chance? And yeah, it's kind of funny. I didn't really prep the voice for Scout. She just kind of like came forth in the booth, and I didn't know it at the time because Jordan has like a beautiful poker face, but apparently like I did the audition and he was like, that's Scout.
That's
So
great.
it was meant to be.
So you didn't necessarily even have to kind of develop it, the voice, it just sort of came forth then.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's not like I don't, like I do research and I like, work with the sides and like kind of come up with what I think the character is going to sound like. But with a lot of the characters that I've ended up booking, the voice has kind of like just organically come forward. And Scout was definitely one of them. That accent, I was like, I don't actually quite know where that came from, but I like it.
So what did you give any other attempts, any other tries, or was that the one voice and you got it and that was it?
Well, it's kind of funny. So I read for Scout and Toth originally, and then they later put out auditions for some of the more like supporting characters, but they had not yet told me that I had booked Scout. So I ended up reading for like all 3 of the kids. And and Trixie, I read for Trixie as well. And I mean, I think I literally was like, I want to be in this show. So I read for like every possible character. And in retrospect, I'm like, God damn it, Jordan. Like apparently like I was already cast and they just hadn't announced it to me yet.
Just wanted to hear all your voices.
Yeah.
We're like, wait. Let's see how many she can do before we tell her the news.
They just like hanging out with you. They just like having you at the studio.
So speaking about that, you auditioned as both Toth and Scout. What did you initially think of the relationship between the 2 of them when you read the pilot?
I was so excited. It's like I feel like it's been a really long time since I can remember an animated show. I mean, I guess I know it's still like kind of up in the air, like what the relationship between Toth and Scout is. But for me, when I read it, I immediately recognized, I was like, oh man, that's like puppy love, you know, like it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, she just really looks up to Toth. But my personal view is it's like, no, it goes deeper than that. There's like a real deep affection there. So I was super excited by that. Because, you know, it's like you've got the Amir and Krista stuff in Attack on Titan, which is a little bit more of like a side story. And to see this kind of like front and center was very interesting to me.
Yeah, it's always nice to see a relationship like that take the forefront because we see it a little bit more often in anime, but we don't see it in Western animation as much. So.
Literally Western animation.
Yeah. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
I apologize for my actions. But in going from working with Toth to working with our silent protagonist, the Nomad, how was it like recording against nobody? Really, or against a couple of the Nomad does this. Does that change the performance at all? Because I know that there's not like group recordings, but
right.
But at the very least, there's the vocal director to sometimes read lines back to you as the other character.
How did you get a feel for this character, even though there wasn't, you know,
there's like pantomiming to work off of.
Well, you know, Mark. A long time ago, I was in love with a mime. No, I'm totally making that up.
From the Jacques Lecoq School of Mimery.
The scripts are so well written that even before I saw any of the animation or the storyboards, like I had a very clear idea of like what the Nomad was going to look like and how he was going to act. And as voice actors, we are kind of used to acting into a vacuum.
Yeah.
So I think like the combination of those two, it wasn't actually quite as difficult as you might imagine.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if it was sort of similar, like when you were recording lines for Breath of the Wild, since Link is also a silent protagonist.
That's a good point. I didn't actually think of that. I act opposite a lot of silent protagonists. Now that I think about it.
You speak enough for everybody, really. That's great. What? That's a compliment. Nobody wants to hear the hero speak because you end up being the hero, especially for not to change lanes too much, but for Breath of the Wild, I played it in Japanese until I got to the desert because I knew that you were Urbosa, and I went, okay, I'm keeping it on, and it was so cool. Screw it. While we're here, was the Urbosa amiibo your first toy of a character that you've played?
Yes.
So being able to look directly at you, essentially, how does that feel to get a toy of something that you created?
Bucket list a check.
Yes.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's killer. Oh man.
Is that like on every voice actor's bucket list? They're like, voice a character that gets a toy. Check mark.
If it's not, it should be.
Oh man, talking about we can go a little bit more into Breath of the Wild.
Well, I'd have one more question because I just beat it like a month ago. How do you think you, Elizabeth Maxwell, would be friends with Urbosa? How do you think your friendship would be in real life?
Total girl crush.
Yeah.
Man, oh, I love her so much. And like I feel like I would be linking the I'm so gullible. Like you can literally pull any trick or ploy on me that you want to try.
I'm making a note that has nothing to do with our current conversation.
So I kind of feel like I would be Urbosa's Link. To be, or Zelda for that matter. I guess she really plays more of the tricks on Zelda. Yeah, I think we'd get along just fine. And I hopefully would pick up like a couple like sword techniques from her.
I would hope so. I think Urbosa is the type that would be like, let me show you this. Like, sort of like, I can do it, I want you to do it too. Just like showing off, but also a good friend. Yeah.
Also, I'd be like, what is your workout regime? Because I need to copy it.
Dem abs.
She's beautiful.
Isn't she though?
She's gorgeous.
But I also love that she's not like super Western traditionally beautiful.
Everybody in that game is gorgeous. Everybody.
Fair point.
Yeah, even
That is not
even
incorrect.
Daruk. I'm flipping like thick boys. Anyway.
Hyrule, a place of beauty.
Yeah, dude.
We talking about some of the other characters that you've played. We had a question on Twitter from at Jurassic Lion, who wants to know how does it feel to portray a wide range of awesome characters, young and old, badass, serious, humorous, and carefree. And do you have a particular preference for what type of role you like to play?
Honestly, it's one of the things that has drawn me to voice acting the most is that with on-camera stuff, you are somewhat confined to how you look unless you're Tyler Perry and you get like, a lot of makeup and prosthetics. But I love the fact that I can play, like he said, like somebody who's 80, which I actually did on like a real life, like a very real life video game recently. The opposite gender, a species that's not human, etc. It's very freeing. It feels sometimes a little bit more like we can really stretch our creative muscles as actors. As far as what's my favorite, that's really hard to say. I love representing like strong, independent women in voiceover, but I have to admit that like I don't want to say playing against type, but I don't get to do comedy quite as often. I feel like people like hear my voice or they look at me and they're like, that's an actor dramatic. So getting to do characters like Nikki and Scout that have a little bit more of a comedic aspect, or Scout who's got like that kind of like beautiful kind of like tender-hearted innocence and naivete is it's very refreshing. And it also feels, I don't know, I just walk out of those sessions feeling like very buoyant.
Well, especially with someone like Scout, who there's just something so precious about a character who seems so well-intentioned in a very, very harsh world, as we come to see in later episodes. It's been interesting seeing the dynamic between her and Toth develop. And you touched on sort of the relationship between Ymir and Krista in Attack on Titan. How has it been getting to play characters in, as can be interpreted, members of the LGBTQ community in such a, not necessarily positive light, but such a complex light?
Yeah, one of the things I love about it is that the relationships are completely normalized. Like, there's no attention really called to it. But it's been fun, as Ymir kind of is more like Toth, and the fact that she's like a little bit more cynical and like pessimistic. And I feel like in real life, I tend to be like optimistic to a fault, and tend to be that person who's always like, well, sure, I know that you could look at it that way, but what if you were to look at it this way? And I don't know, like, to me, there's something, special about like viewing the world in that light and through like those rose-colored glasses. I think a lot of the world is like chosen perception. And I don't know, it's very refreshing.
It's less of a glass half full, glass half empty, and more of a let's fill this glass up.
Yeah. Mark, that was really profound. I like that.
Well, shucks. Well, I like how it's not as, because the world isn't as black or white as like I'm positive, well I'm negative. It's more of let's make the world a better place and a little bit more of a complete place.
And also, anytime I get to play a character that is having kind of like that first blush of like first love or like romance, that's pretty special too.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we did an episode about shipping about a month or two ago, and I'm more of a let's see where the writers go with this. I'm not like third base. I ship third base coach, one of the rock minions and another one of the rock minions. No, but when the line that dropped in the circus episode, and especially now finding out that was supposed to be the original pilot of Toth responding to, well, I do like cotton candy. It's just like, it's real! It's real! I get it!
Super heartbeat a little faster that
Exactly.
day.
And then they hold hands going into the circus together.
I know. Oh man. Oh, this show has made me cry. No joke. In many ways, like many different variations of crying.
Well, kind of touching on that, have you had a favorite moment on screen so far?
Ooh. Oh, hold on. Can I talk about it? No.
I was gonna say,
let me think
we're
about
just
the first.
talking about
That's
the
what you say
first 6 episodes.
on screen.
Eddie mentioned when he called in, he mentioned that his favorite moment so far this season was that moment where Toth ran to Scout in episode 6 after she got hurt.
That was a heavy episode.
That was a very heavy episode.
Yeah, that whole fight, I really loved. Because I feel like it kind of touched on also both of their strengths and the fact that like I really do think that like Toth and Scout are better together than they are apart, you know, because it's like Scout kind of has like the heart and, you know, like a little bit of the like critical like thinking, and, you know, Toth is like the bravery and the courage and the muscle. I'm trying to think of what else. That first episode where you kind of see like Scout do the like, and then Toth like kind of like sticks up for her to Red Manuel, and then she has that moment like where she's like, that was a pretty awesome moment for me too. I got picked on a lot when I was little, so I was like, I wanted a Toth.
Somebody to stick up for you. Oh man, that hits home. Stacey, was there anything that's popped up in the chat or anything else on Twitter that's come up?
Nothing directly on this topic.
Okay. I was such the subject of ridicule because I was like shipping. While we're here, what's something that you want to bring up with Elizabeth?
Oh man.
It was really funny, Mark. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty as we were covering episode 6 for Nomad, and Mark left the room for a hot moment, and the second the door closed, while he was taking care of that technical stuff, we were like, okay, Mark's gone. Let's talk about shipping.
To the real stuff.
We need to talk about this moment with Toth and Scout. And actually, a good thing to ask about, we had some debate about the moment sort of leading into episode 6 about the conversation that Toth and Scout have before they enter the sandstorm. Stacey's view was a little different than my interpretation, for sure.
Yeah, the first watch through, when that scene came up, there was kind of this ebbing worry of, oh gosh, is she being manipulated by Toth, saying these nice things to get her to do what she wants her to do, which I think I've changed my mind after that episode. But the small moments like that, especially with such a powerful character that Scout looks up to and likes, it seems like a balance to keep.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and I see how it could be interpreted that way. the way that I view it is I think that, like, ultimately both Toth and Scout are kind of idealistic in their own ways. And I think that they're both pushing each other to be better in the ways that they're slightly deficient. You know, like Scout, I think, does have kind of a little bit of a deficiency in self-confidence. Toth maybe has a deficiency in optimism and patience.
But she radiates confidence.
And so, like, yes, do I think that Toth has, like, her eye on the prize? Like, absolutely. But do I also think that, like, her trying to bolster Scout's self-confidence comes from, like, a genuine place? Absolutely. Was it maybe slightly ill-advised? Sure. But, you know, I think that Toth, like, got a really strong sense of, you know, what she can do. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I totally can see how you can think it that way. I personally thought that it does come from, like, you know, you are stronger and braver than you think you are sort of place.
Let's hope that's the case, because it's hard to say. It's very hard to say, especially with sort of the shift in tone that the series took. I mean, we went from an episode with the circus and a fun little slapstick, very comedic sort of atmosphere to something very, very dark. Just within the span of one episode. So I was wondering, what was your reaction when you guys got the script for this very abrupt shift in tone? Did you always know it was going to be that dark, or did this come as a shock to you?
Knowing the team behind this show, no. It was not as much as a shock as you might think. And that's kind of one of the things I love about the show, is that it's not married into, like, one emotion or one style, that it really does kind of, like, bounce around. So, you know, brace yourselves.
What?
I think we very abruptly had to brace ourselves already. Hold on.
The ride's not over yet, kids.
You know, it keeps getting equated to a roller coaster. Eddie didn't put it any better. It just got us really, really scared. Dang
Close
it.
our eyes and hold on tight.
No! Anyway.
Just because something's animated doesn't make it light and fluffy and fun.
Doesn't mean it's for kids. No.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like we learned that lesson with Ruby as well, but, you know.
But then at the same time, sorry, here's Ruby Cheap.
This makes it all better.
Yeah.
Which Winter is now a member of Ruby Chibi.
I know. I was so excited.
I think my favorite moment in Ruby Chibi, as far as Winter's episodes so far, are the episode where Ruby was interpreting what she thought Winter and Ozpin were talking about. And that just must have been so fun to tweak Winter's voice into the lens viewed by Ruby.
Yeah, I mean, also just getting, like, chibi forms of any character are so much fun for me, because usually it's like, I don't know if we'll ever get to see Winter in that, you know, that way during real Ruby. Yeah. It's just, like, really a lovely chance to, like, expound upon the character. And also, The Princess Bride is one of, like, my favorite movies of all time. And that scene where he was like, "Does anybody want a peanut?" Is one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. So getting to say, like, "And don't mistake my rhyming for a cheery demeanor," was like, "Aww."
I've missed her. It was so nice. Talking about Winter, we've in Ruby, if you don't mind us changing lanes a little bit again.
You're leading this horse.
One of the things that we've gotten to see a little bit is sort of the atmosphere that Winter and Weiss were raised in. And I wanted to know, when we got to see that in Volume 4, how did you react? Because everything that had been shown to us about Weiss's upbringing was done in either little tiny exposition bits or just small character bits of like Winter being like, you should probably call home before they cut you off, and then sure enough she gets cut off and then Weiss gets whisked away back home.
I loved it because I feel like, as is understandable and natural, in the first couple of seasons of RWBY, like, Weiss is a little bit more of kind of like almost like comedic relief. Like, she's, you know, all of the characters are like stereotyped a little bit more and shown in kind of like their extreme phases. And it's like, you know, like, oh yes, we recognize that character. She's kind of like the entitled bratty girl. But I feel like showing like more details of the family like really opens up the lens for like some empathy, and it was really poignant to me in that like the Weiss trailer that they did for what was it, volume 5,
yeah.
Where when Winter says like, you're going to need to get better if you ever want to leave, it was like, oh, like that really cemented to me like Weiss and Winter have had this unique familial understanding of like, they're the only two in their family that are like, this is wrong, this is weird, like we don't really want to be here or be a part of this anymore. And like, to me, that was like this tiny little window into like, see, like Winter is trying to like help Weiss be ready to like cut ties with the family or not be so dependent on them so she can make her own way in the world, as Winter is trying to do.
I was upset when we saw the trailer, seeing Weiss in her act 1, her volume 1 garb, and I went, this is a flashback. So I was like, oh no, I wanted more Winter, and this was the first time seeing Winter with the new animation engine, and I'm excited to see Winter pop up again, because I know you can't answer any questions about that. If/whenever that does happen.
Mm-hmm. I guess the real question is, will she ever get together with Crow and Ruby Chibi? No.
that was my favorite episode. Just like, dating used to be so much simpler when I was a kid. Because it took that amazing fight from season 3 and just turned it into just Looney Tunes.
I know. I love it.
I mean, that's the best part of Ruby Chibi. It just takes these bits that have been teased in RWBY and it just runs with them in insane directions.
I was saying, runs with them in really weird and opposite directions.
It's just like, oh, they fought, they must be in love.
It's like the equivalent of like pulling your pigtail.
Oh man,
I really like you.
Massive swords.
Speaking of, we had a question also on Twitter from Caitlin Geddes. Hey, Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
She wants to know, what do you imagine would happen if Winter, Nikki, and Scout were all in the same room?
Oh, man. I was literally thinking about this earlier today while I was getting ready. And I was like, man, Scout and Nikki would just be like real good buds. I mean, think about it. Like, they both love nature. Mm-hmm. They both are, like, real into, like, adventuring and foraging and finding things. Winter would probably be, like, constantly, like, taking, like, a Tide pen and, like, putting it all over her uniform. I mean, it's, like, antithesis. You know, it's like you got Winter in one corner, Scout and Nikki in the other. I feel like ultimately Scout would be the bridge, as she is with like Toth and everybody else in the show. I mean, I'd like to be there for that interaction.
Scout does seem to be the peacekeeper. Like, hey, let's talk about this.
She's totally a Libra. Just throwing it out there.
Hell yeah, Libras. But I think like literally a bridge, because I think Nikki would be just like all of the other members of like the Dandelions, and like, oh, book, great, let's use it as a stepping stone. Yeah, or eat it. Whereas I think Winter would respect Toth would respect Scout for trying to hang on to some sort of knowledge and try to improve and try to better herself. And then when it's really for Nikki and Winter just arguing and just making life a living hell for everybody else in that forest.
I also don't know if Winter would approve of Scout's fingerless gloves.
Of all the things.
That would be what she critiques. Hey,
I mean,
there's always something.
winter is about form over function. Sorry, function over form. Take that, rewind it back.
Talking about Nikki, the last time we had you in studio to talk about Rooster Teeth related properties, we were talking about Camp, and that was long before we had the season 2 finale, where we got talking about family dynamics for the characters that we've seen. We finally got to see Nikki's mom and kind of get a little bit more insight into why Nikki happens to be the way she is.
Yep. I'm so glad Nikki's at camp.
Oh.
I have to say, though, that line, like, Nicolette, I didn't poop you out of my front butt. It's like one of my favorite camp lines of, like, all time.
Oh, man.
Mom of the year.
Something of the year.
She's the best worst mom.
I feel like Nikki is a really good argument for nature versus nurture.
Well, I mean, one of the things that we gained from the finale was seeing what her home life was like, because we always got that hint from her being like, oh, unless dad lied again or mom lied again, and just like, oh, but she's is this a mechanism for just to try to get her away from a terrible life at home? No, she's just generally spunky, and it's just like, no, she can't be contained, and despite any of the stuff that happened in the season finale with everything that happened, Nikki still has a very positive attitude about everything. It's
children are resilient.
It is hard to view it like through the lens of being an adult and like knowing sort of the consequences. Kids bounce back, but like knowing the consequences of her upbringing before it happens, you're just like, oh man, that she deserves better.
Well, and it's kind of funny because I feel like in that respect, like her and Max are kind of opposites in the effect that like Max has been like totally like his entire worldview, I feel like, has been like largely shaped by his parents and their relationship with him. Whereas Nikki is kind of like just like, well, I'm gonna forge my own way because my reality is fucked up. All I can say, too, is that I thought the Camp team couldn't top themselves, but you guys are in for a real treat with season 3.
Well, we got the trailer today, which, Steve, you've got there on the desktop, if you can bring that up. They put a teaser trailer up on Twitter.
I don't remember if I've seen this one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
It's like a hypercut. It looks like a lot of it might be from one episode. But we can play that with if we can play that with the sound on, please, because this was making the rounds today.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh.
And of course, Camp
so
Camp
not in the
premieres
loop.
next week, which is ridiculous to me that we're back in Camp season. Go ahead.
Finally.
Let's give this a look. And go ahead.
Internet Camp Campbell.
I found a human skull!
Rotten Tomatoes, $20.
It's not a fad, it's not a scam, and I did invest quite a lot of my dad's money in it.
What are you doing?
Is that what you want? You want to kill kids?
I'll live on it all of your heart. Yeah, I think that is.
Call now and donate to receive a free tote bag.
I'm really sad that was a 555 number because I tried calling it.
Did you really?
I want a tote bag.
I was gonna say, you guys could put that tote bag in the store.
It's probably gonna be a launch day merch item.
Oh, or RTX swag. Oh,
It's gonna be, instead of a drawstring bag, it's gonna be the tote bag with a quartermaster drawn on it.
that would
I
be
am here
fantastic.
for that.
Yeah, I'm about it.
Well, that's exciting.
I do think that is, if I remember correctly, primarily from the first episode of season 3.
Okay, cool.
I like that though. That doesn't give away too much about what's going on for the rest of the season. I like it. Talking about Camp, though, one of the highlights that we got after season 2 wrapped up is we got a couple specials.
Yeah, we did.
And the Christmas special, or the non-denominational winter special. No, it was a Christmas episode. That in particular was such a joy to watch because it still had that cynical camp edge to it. But there was also very much this genuine warmth that just, again, Nikki exudes that brought everybody together in the episode. And for a show as cynical as this one, it's really touching.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like Max is like a black hole. And Nikki is just like a constantly exploding supernova or something. And it's like they balance each other out really nicely. And sometimes one takes the helm for certain episodes, but I think that's the first time I've ever had to sing in character too, which was a trip. Because it turns out when you sing in character, you don't have the same range that you do when you sing in your natural singing voice, which I discovered very quickly. Yeah.
Did something have to change, or did they just made it work?
I think we had to change the key of that song a little bit because I'm an alto, I'm not a soprano, but I can hit higher notes in Elizabeth's voice than I can in Nikki's singing voice. And Miles, who did all the scratch tracks for the songs, is a ridiculously talented singer. And he can sing really high for a dude. And I was like, Nikki can't hit that note. So it was fun, but it worked out, I think.
Yeah, it was. This show, whenever it chooses to do musical numbers, that talent definitely shines through on Miles' part. But also the performance was fantastic.
Aw, thank you.
So that was again one of the highlights for me for season 2. So I hope we get more singing in season 3, but we will just have to wait and see in that regard.
I mean, they blasted it out of the gate in season 2. Like,
Yeah.
how will they improve upon that?
That duet,
Eh?
that duet was fabulous.
It really was.
Yep, it was fantastic. That
Go on.
I was just saying that, like talking about preparation for it, but you already sort of touched on needing to change the key. Yeah, good job.
10 steps ahead of you. So far, I can't even see the tracks behind me.
Now, I want to ask questions about whether or not what we're going to sort of get in Camp, but I know you can't talk about any spoiler related stuff. So
Well, let's go back. We talked to you during at the beginning of season 2. Now that it's over, what was your personal favorite moment from season 2?
Oh, God.
What is one of your personal favorite moments, whether it was Nikki or otherwise?
I mean, for me, getting to sing as Nikki was definitely like a primo moment. I love the episode where we delve into nerfs, like his problem, his issues, and how he's going to overcome them. I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've watched season 2, so I'm trying to think of what some of my other favorite moments from the show were.
Just talking about sort of Nikki and Max focused episodes. The episode where they were parents together.
Oh, the baby
Dude,
episode.
I totally did that too. Did you guys have to do that in school?
Never had
Didn't
to
have
do
to do the
that.
egg. Didn't have to do the egg.
not the egg raising project, but we did an egg drop thing, so it was kind of the opposite.
It's terrifying.
It's the opposite of taking care of the egg. It's dropping it without getting it to crack. I failed. It did not do well.
We just did that Mothers Against Drunk Driving thing where everyone's like, oh, there's a terrible car accident outside. And as the theater kids, we got to be the dead people.
What? You had to do that?
I unfortunately
Had to do it.
had to. No, we wanted to do
it.
it. I was not one of the people that got to do it because I was still pretty low on the totem pole that year. But it was yeah, we would chomping at the bit to be like, oh yeah, bloody me up.
I mean, we also got to get out of class for a while.
Yeah, we
so,
did.
I mean, I wanted to be one of those people too.
When
Theater
I was
kids, first
in
dibs.
8th grade, we had to like raise and take care of flower babies. They were literally just
I've
sacks of flour. With,
only
Oh,
ever
I don't know
seen,
why, but I heard FLOWER. I was like, oh, I'm not doing anything.
like
No.
flower
Yeah.
scouts.
Yeah.
So I've only ever seen the take care of an egg or take care of a bag of flour as your baby thing in cartoons and television shows. I didn't know it was a thing that like actually happened in schools because I kept waiting for it to be assigned to me because I was like, I've seen this episode. I know what to do when I get assigned my bag of flour, and then it never happened.
private school. I don't know if that had
Not in
anything
private
to
school.
do with it.
No?
I went to public high school. That explains it.
Country's going down
Also,
the tubes.
the Flower Scouts are like, I think, my favorite characters in Camp. So the Girl Scout the Flower Scout cookies episode was
Use take
like,
two. Use take two.
top notch for me.
That one was fantastic. Just Samantha Ireland's portrayal.
Oh God,
Top
I love
notch.
her so much. Also, finding out that Platypus is a girl.
Yeah.
Biggest twist of the season. Really.
I know,
Really,
right?
though.
I still correct people at conventions. I'm like, no, Platy's a girl.
What she thinks.
The talking about kind of favorite moments. Let's shift gears back to Nomad a little bit as we are running a little short on time. What was your in terms of where we left off? Because as we mentioned, there was an abrupt shift in tone and things have escalated quite a bit in the short amount of time that we've been with the Nomad, Toth and Scout. What are your thoughts on where we've sort of left off at this mid-season finale?
Ooh, it's almost hard to say because of like the advanced knowledge that I have. But I mean, like, for lack of a better way to put it, I feel it's kind of like the first half of the season was kind of like, all right, let's introduce this world, let's introduce these cute characters. And then now we're at the point where it's like, all right, shit just got real.
Let's start
You
to
know,
kill
it's
'em.
like these aren't caricatures. This isn't like a fantasy land. Like, now we're gonna get real. And I think that it's also going to be an interesting, like, okay, we've been dealing with a lot of like idealism. Now what happens when you really get to like the core of people, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, especially in this very, very harsh world that Eddie and the rest of the writing team has established.
Also, oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, also, I remember, like, reading through the scripts, like, at a certain point, I turned to Jordan, and I was like, when is the poor Nomad gonna get a break? This guy, the abuse.
So something that we've kind of been debating over the course of the Nomad After Show, and I want to get your opinion on it, whether you know what happens or not. Where do you think the water wheel is going?
We have to know.
Because it's trucking.
Towards the ocean.
Good. That's what we're thinking too. It's like, get us water. Okay. It's gonna be really mad about it.
He's just very frustrated.
Very
Got my
motivated.
RTX cosplay. It'll be the water wheel.
Oh, that'll be
I'm just gonna wear
fabulous.
brown.
So amazing.
Please, I will help you make spokes and every.
If it's
you
actually
figure
a
it out.
functional wheel, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think I can figure that out.
I will make time.
Yeah, but I need like a how am I gonna get it to Austin?
We will figure it
We'll
out.
figure it out.
I will make it in our room the night
Hey,
before.
I've driven once. It's doable.
Oh my god.
If it's a functional wheel, you'll roll your way there, man.
Free travel. Free travel.
As I mentioned, we are running a little short on time. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any upcoming projects or convention appearances that you can talk about that our viewers should keep an eye out for?
I will be at Animazement in Raleigh, North Carolina next weekend. Salt Lake Gaming Con early June. Supernova in Australia in June, which I'm
that's so
really
cool.
stoked about. Obviously, you know, Camp Season 3. Got some really exciting announcements coming up later this year, and that's all I can really say. That's such a tease.
That's good.
Yeah, well, I'll leave it at that.
And Attack on Titan's coming back later this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen the trailer for that yet?
Yes.
Oh, it looks so good.
So much good stuff.
I need it now, though.
Hey, at least we don't have to wait like a year and a half or
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
years like we did last time.
Oh, that was such a
That was
brutal
hard.
hiatus. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Where can people go if they want to keep up with all of your upcoming projects?
I am mostly active on Twitter. At about Elizabeth M and Instagram. I guess I must have been the first Elizabeth Maxwell to join because I'm just at Elizabeth Maxwell on Instagram.
lucky.
I know.
Nice.
As I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me all over the web at Stacey Shuttles or over on Twitch at Inventory Full PT. We do a weekly video game show and play games.
And you're gonna get back to Far Cry 5, you said.
Eventually. I'm playing it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, you can find me at Mark B. Donica. I was going to stream the Little Witch Academia game because I absolutely love that world, but it's really expensive.
We'll make it happen anyways.
I'm gonna take a minute and save up a little bit. It's full price, dudes. It's full price. But Mark B. Donica, find us on Twitch, and make sure, if you're new to the show, make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, and please check out our TeePublic, tpublic.com/The Rooster Team, and head over to our YouTube channel where you can listen to Welcome to Vale Episode 2. We have some plans. And it was announced that we're on the community track for the RTX panels, and we're going to be bringing a little bit of Welcome to Vale to Austin. It's going to be weird. We hope that you come along with us.
Yes. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. Again, can't say thank you enough, Elizabeth, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Always a
for
pleasure.
having me.
And thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you all next time. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Views expressed herein are those of the host only and not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.